Oh hi, welcome to my house. Today I'm gonna attempt a flower makeup look. This one. While I do my moisturizer and my skin, I'm gonna give you some context of where I come from, like how far I've come. Last year I was in a phase of paralysis where I got lost in my overthinking a lot, and I had all these questions that were mostly centered around why. Why do anything at all? Why get out of bed? What for? Where am I going? Where is this taking me? Etc, etc. Which led to me staying in bed and having the motivation to do less, because the less I did, the less I wanted to do. So it became a cycle. Static bodies stays static. Then I started noticing how the mere act of taking a shower helped me get out of my thoughts and into my body and made me feel good. I know, this sounds super simple. Oh my god, she thinks she invented showers. No, I'm going somewhere philosophical with this, okay? Stay with me. So I started noticing how taking a shower made me feel good, and then I started doing physical things whenever I felt like I was going back to paralysis. So I would do my dishes, I would go for a walk, I would start cleaning, I would do something with my hands, I would cook. And the more I got into my body, the more these questions stayed quiet, like the more they quieted down. And the more I got into my body, the more I lived my life. And then before I knew it, I lived my life into the answers to these questions. Rainer Maria Rilke, in Letters to a Young Poet, this is the wrong brush. Rainer Maria Rilke, in Letters to a Young Poet, says, "I want to beg you as much as I can, dear sir, to be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves like locked rooms and like books that are written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Perhaps you do carry within yourself the possibility of shaping and forming as a particularly happy and pure way of living. Train yourself to it. The point is to live everything." When you have all these questions, these philosophical questions of like, who are you, what do I want to do, where am I going, etc., and you're not doing anything, like you're just staying in bed, rotting in bed, watching TikToks and asking yourself these questions, that's very counterproductive. You need to live to have the answers. That's the entire point of the philosophical current, existentialism. He's right. Like, the more I did, and the more answers came to me. And one of these answers to the why do anything was because it simply feels good. It simply feels better than rotting in bed and watching TikToks all day. It feels better physically. There's less fog in my brain. It feels better socially. I just feel happier. And then biologically, there's nothing on Earth, alive or not alive, there's no organism that stays unmoved. Everything moves. Every atom moves. Every animal, every plant. The Earth orbits around the Sun, which orbits around the galaxy, which itself orbits around me. Look it up. I needed to move. I needed to get out of bed because I was alive. I did not need any more answers to the why questions. I'm alive. I need to live inside of my body and outside of my brain. So slowly but surely, I broke my habits of letting myself rot and watching TikToks all day, and I started cooking more and creating more and going out more and comparing myself less, because another thing that really stood out to me in my in my action phase, where I started going more into action, is that I compared myself way less to people, because I was less exposed to people on social media since I was like living my life, and because I was living my life, I was nourishing it the way I wanted it to be nourished, and I noticed how my life was mine and how it's incomparable to what other people are doing, because that's their life. My slot in the universe is whatever I'm doing right now and whatever I am right now. It's not whatever they have and whatever they're doing. But, to my surprise, progress is not linear. Did you know that? And the doubts came back. They came back because even though I knew the answers, even though I knew I had plan to be in action, but also leave space for being alone and nourishing my inner world through this alone time. Even though I knew all of this, there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom, and I was not wise enough to follow through continuously on this path. 2 weeks ago, I think, my body started screaming at me that I was doing too much and that I needed alone time and that I needed action, but in my alone time. So like I needed to clean my house and do very low dopamine activities like read a book, etc., etc. And I wasn't listening to it because I was having fun. I was having fun partying and going out and like meeting my friends and having conversations and going outside anyway, going to parks and stuff. Plus it was really sunny outside, I didn't want to stay. But my body was yelling at me to calm down and I didn't listen. And so, slowly but surely, cracks started setting down in my life. And through these cracks came in the old doubts again. They came in as mean voices that were telling me things I knew weren't true, but I believed because I was tired emotionally and socially. These are useless thoughts. I believe that some thoughts can be useless, that you don't need to listen to all of your thoughts. You don't need to listen to all of your thoughts and you don't need to listen to all of your emotions. They're valid because they're there, but they're valid in the sense that they're a signal telling you that something is going on. They're not the truth. But even though I knew that these thoughts were signals that I was tired, I believed them because, hey, I'm only human. Usually when these thoughts used to come creeping at me, I knew these past few months because I've been doing very well, I think. And when these thoughts came to me in these past few months, I just didn't listen to them. Like I just continued my life. For example, I did stand-up last month for the first time ever, and I was terrified. I was so scared. And had I listened to my fear, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have gone through with it because I wanted to cancel a bunch of times, but I didn't because I knew that it was important for me to do this. I knew that something inside of me was striving towards that. And instead of listening to my thoughts, I just followed the concrete, physical, tangible steps that would lead me to do the stand-up. So, for example, I knew I had to sign up. I signed up. I wrote a spectacle. I repeated it. I got on stage. I did it. These are concrete, tangible steps that exist outside of your brain. That's my bathroom. I'm so sorry if you can hear that. That's my toilet. And these steps are what you need to actually follow to do the things that you want to do. Except that sometimes the doubts and the thoughts are so loud that you can't help but notice them and listen to them. They paralyze you on their own, especially after a huge shock. I don't know, I know it comes to me whenever I am really tired socially and that I haven't spent enough time alone. I know it comes to me then because I'm so tired that I don't have the force to fight them back. I just shouldn't let myself get to that point, but as I said, wisdom and knowledge are two different things. And that's what happened to me, du coup, 3 days ago. And these thoughts, these useless thoughts, came to me in a comparison between me and other artists I know, like artists that I follow on social media and stuff, and they came to me in really mean thoughts about how I wasn't doing enough and these artists were doing so much and their art was so good and mine wasn't, and they're living off of their art and I'm not, blah 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 blah. Useless thoughts. And he was also telling me that my art was not amounting to anything compared to these other artists I followed. What do you mean, brother? What do you mean it doesn't amount to anything? My life and my creativity and my daily routine amounts to me living my life fully. It amounts to me literally being alive. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to worship every single activity I do like it's a ritual, from doing the dishes to riding my bike to walking to dressing up to dressing down. I'm so happy to exist. I'm so lucky to remember that this is the point. Most days. And I'm sorry to say that, but it is that damned phone. That damned phone be making us forget that this is the point. That's why we compare ourselves to others, because we're forced into inaction with an algorithm that keeps us consumer of content coming from the lives of others and distracting us from finding ourselves and our own happiness and living our life fully. And they do that because then you're unhappy and you can fall headfirst into consumerism, which is what capitalism wants. So it's the phone's problem, capitalism's issue, and the state. I don't know how, but it's the state. Every hour you spend away from your phone is a win. There's nothing sacred or sensual or important about these devices. And I'm not a hypocrite for having a phone right now and a computer and a mic and a camera. I can criticize things and still fall victim to them because there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. It's so sexy to be present in real life, I swear to God. It got me so much happiness and made me get out of my depression. I'm so glad I'm alive. Plus, there's some really important elements to your real life that your phone distracts you from. And to cite two, boredom and repetition. Boredom is extremely important because it pushes you towards growth, it encourages self-reflection, it sparks creativity. Repetition soothes the nervous system, it helps you make order in your thoughts without falling into bed rotting, because when you're overthinking while in bed, it's never productive because you're not in your body, you forget to be in your body, and being too much in your mind is a bad thing. Repetition also teaches us how to be mindful. Like when we're doing the dishes, we're present, especially when we're not listening to anything or watching something on our phone. When we're doing the dishes, it's a meditation because we're mindful and present in what we're doing. But I think one of my favorite aspects of repetition is the creativity part, because I really see how repetition has helped me with my creativity. All the best ideas I get are from either walking or doing the dishes. And I see also how it suits my nervous system. And the phone dysregulates your nervous system and keeps you away from things that suits it, like boredom, repetition, and sleep. I've been reading The Artist's Way, which is the book that Doechii followed on her YouTube channel to revive her creativity. And it's really well. Usually with the mainstream books, I'm like worried that they might be book talk books, but The Artist's Way was amazing. It's spiritual and philosophical, and it's a self-help book, and it's a narration, and it talks about creativity as this divine spiritual processes that is necessary for everybody and that you can actually work towards. It's something that you can learn how to do. And in The Creative Way, Julia Cameron, the writer, says about repetition: any regular repetitive action primes the well of creativity. Writers have heard many woeful tales of the Bronte sisters and poor Jane Austen, forced to hide their stories under their needlework. Needlework, by definition regular and repetitive, both soothes and stimulates the artist within. As artists, we can literally reap what we sow. I noticed that when I am doing creative things, and by creative things I mean art, like photography, videos and stuff, but also writing, cooking, dressing up, conversation is creative, anything. I am so focused on being mindful and living my life that I don't have the time nor the space to compare myself to others. That's what I need to keep doing. I know what to do. I know what are the ways I need to follow. It's just hard sometimes because I'm human and living is continuous. So what I did when I found myself back in that old paralysis, like I had stayed all bed watching TikToks, is I called my friend, and she pointed out how I was being mean to myself because I wasn't seeing it very clearly, and she asked me to stop, which I did. I cried a lot, and then I took a shower, and I stayed away from my phone, to regulate my nervous system, even though I was bored. These past 2 days, because this happened 3 days ago, these past 2 days I have been creating, and I've been living my life, and I've been cooking, and I've been getting out of bed early, and I've been comparing myself less to other people. And when things work, I like to note them down, which is why I'm making this video. To remember what works and what doesn't, and to maybe be able to reach that wisdom that will lead me to do the things I know work, even when it's hard. Robbie Gass says that inner wisdom is like an ability or a muscle. It's straightened by doing it. You can know that things are right and not do them, and that will keep you knowledgeable, not wise. I would like to be wise. I would like to be wise beyond my years. I'm not going anywhere, by the way. I did this makeup and I'm going to take it off as soon as this video is over. Because another thing that I learned is that I don't care if my work, like if my creative work is good or useful or not. The process itself is built on repetition and mindfulness, and anything built on that, I'm gonna follow. Here's the final product before I take it out. What do you think? What do you think of my flower face? I think I didn't have the right red, so it came out more purple than in the picture. Maybe if I add some brown or this. Goodbye, thank you for coming over. I never know how to end my videos. I'm just gonna say bye. I never know how to say goodbye. But that's another video, isn't it? On goodbyes. Anyway, bye.